What's up, guys? Welcome to Adulting is a Bitch. Uh, ये दुख काहे खत्म नहीं होता भाई.
ये
And welcome to episode one. Well, why adulting matters. But before we start, let us talk about who we are and why are we so useless and why do we want to talk about adulting. So
yeah.
I can allow Raghav to go first, and then I can talk about myself. Come on, Raghav, tell
Yeah.
us who you are.
Okay. Only if you can hear me this time, I will continue. uh,
I can hear you loud and
o-
clear.
okay. So, I'm Raghav. I'm originally from Rajasthan, but like basically, I've lived half my life uh, alone in the sense that not with my family. I moved out when I was 15 years old, and then I've kind of lived independently ever since. And I mean, that has essentially uh, led to whatever adulting I've had to do. Otherwise, I'm a kind of adult who would, if given a choice, would never want to adult. Like I don't see like it as a pleasurable activity. I don't see adulting as something that I would look forward to. It's something if I have to do, I'll do it. So that's the kind of adult I am. Uh, in terms of occupation, I am trying to build a mental health startup. It's called Whistle. And apart from that, me and my partner, we do something called Stuff Studio, which is a boutique creative and content agency. So yeah, that's about me. But what about you, Aman? What kind of an adult are you?
Very fancy. So many things you do, my friend. But I think, yeah, my introduction is going to be pretty similar also. I'm an adult who doesn't want to adult. I'm Aman. I'm quite similar to Raghav in some ways, quite different. I'm almost 30 and I still stay with my parents now. I also moved out when I was around 20, but then I've come back and I've been staying at home now for the last since COVID started. And yeah, I'm based out of Calcutta, and I am, like I said, someone who doesn't want to adult, uh, trying to adult. I love Bollywood. I love Shah Rukh Khan. And for me, I think the aim of the adult in me is to keep the child alive and happy. So now, every time I try to do something where I try to tick off something I was not given as a kid, and that makes me the happiest. Yeah, day in day out.
Hmm. Interesting.
Occupation-wise, I'm also an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
I still find that difficult to believe, but yeah, working with my family in in our business and where we buy and sell paper which is used to make corrugated boxes. So apart from being a fan of the office, I'm also a fan of the environment. So I think the paper we sell is quite sustainable and environment friendly. So yeah, that's my sales
Woo!
pitch. But yeah, I think that's a good start about us. But then
Yeah.
let's come to the main burning question, which our five listeners would be eagerly asking. Why are we
Yeah.
starting a podcast when there are 500,000 other podcasts? And
Yeah.
especially
That.
those by two men sitting and discussing life. Tell me, bro, tell me.
So first, I would like to say thanks to the five listeners we have. Four of them are our parents, essentially.
Thank you, thank you.
But yeah,
Very true, very true. My sister also
uh,
might listen.
yeah. But the reason, like in my head, the reason why we are doing this podcast is because I mean, I think it's a very normal thing, or at least become very normal that you call your friend and you called him after months. And I'm sure there's a lot that has gone on during these months, right? Like it is a story that you can tell your friend. But the first, like, it's all these calls start with, और क्या चल रहा है? And the other person would be like, बस लगी पड़ी है यार. ठीक है? And everybody's doing that across the world. I mean, in different languages maybe, but like the gist is the same. Uh, and and
100%.
and you do this not just with one friend, like that's you with every friend, every call that you're kind of picking up, and you're like, बस चल रहा है यार, लगी पड़ी है, देख रहे हैं,
Yeah,
like so it's
absolutely.
clearly happening. Like there's clearly something there that that's not being talked about is what I feel. And I feel this is just our attempt to talk about adulting, and because it's not like it stops. You keep adulting as you grow. So, which means like being okay with constant change. So this needs to be talked about more. And I couldn't find any particular series or any, I mean, podcast that I could relate to it, like more like figure out, like kind of understand other people's experience and not get gyan, like there's enough gyan out there. But the idea is to share experiences that everybody could relate to, and in the
Yeah,
process, if there is some gyan that we can learn from, like I can learn from you, we can learn from our audience, or vice versa, like that would be great. So that's the secondary reason. The primary reason I'm
yeah,
doing
man.
it because I'm a startup founder, and if I don't have a podcast, nobody would take me seriously.
Yeah, we're the startup bros now.
Yeah.
Hustle culture and all is our hashtag. But no, I think you hit it bang on the head, dude. Basically, we wanted to crib to a wider audience और कोई format के पैसे नहीं है. So I think this is a good start and especially Indian context में I think we all struggle with adulting, but no one is talking about it. And obviously हम लोग दोनों को नाचना नहीं आता है. So we can't make reels like that.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good start.
I mean, not no offense to those
Super.
who are dancing on reel, not at all. It's just that we don't have the kind of talent to really do anything else apart from talk to
No, I have full
create
offense.
content.
No, no, you're right. We just can't do it, man. I'm very
Yeah.
jealous. Two parts of my body don't move
Yeah,
together at the
yeah,
same time.
for
So
sure.
full
Yeah, like
respect to that.
in coordination, like that's huge. Cool. So,
As you can tell, we are certainly not very high functioning adults.
yeah.
So, so
So
now that
Prabhas,
we've got this out of the way, let's
yeah.
start. Let's start episode one. And like I said, episode one is about why adulting matters.
Hmm.
But to get to that, we have to first go back into history. And since now both of us are quite old, we have to start with questions of our of when we just hit adulthood. They
Yeah.
might seem longer back to Raghav since he's older than me. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Only by a couple of years, bro.
why not you tell us, Raghav?
Yeah, this is
The
son only
couple of years is
so
what makes all the difference.
yeah, so this is
Correct. So
this
why
is
don't you tell us when did you actually realize, man, growing up that uh,
yeah.
you're now an adult, like the time where you used to call people bhaiya or uncle is over, and now they're going to call you that. When was that pivotal
So
moment of life?
so for me, those two are actually they kind of came at the same time. So first is of course realized I'm an adult when I moved out from my home for the first time. I think I was 16, 15, 16. I moved out, went to a different city to basically do those IIT JEE coaching things, like where you don't go to the school, but you go to the training institute instead. And so I had shifted places, and suddenly I had to live on my own. A lot of changes from a very comfortable kind of environment that I had back at home. So, not that I did a lot of like, it's not like I was cooking or I was cleaning and shit. Everything was sorted. My job essentially was to just study, but I'm saying it still was a very big change. It still was a step up.
Yeah,
Like I still had to be accountable for myself, my time, how I'm spending that time. There was no there was no parent like to tell you
very
that
true. Yeah,
you should be doing this at this time. Like, or there was no there was also like no structure, like because the school, as I said, like in that, because during that training you also kind of skip school, you only go to these coaching classes, so that also meant there was very less structure in my life and I had to make my own structures. So that was when I realized, and I also knew
Yeah,
that all of this is costing money, right? Like my dad's paying for all this, and there needs to be something out of it. Like it can't be wasted just in some way. So that money
correct.
realization, plus of course living on your own, that was when I realized that I've adulted it now. Like I'm not expected to, you know, be kiddish about everything. Like the things I need to be
Yeah,
serious about. So that was that. And funnily enough, after puberty, I think I grew very quickly in a very short time, and started looking like an adult like way back only. So when I was, I think 20,
yeah,
I was around 20. I think people had started calling me. No, actually, in college I'd become very thin. But yeah, I remember like being young and being called uncle or bhaiya. Like bhaiya to of course, but like uncle also. And me realizing like, bro, we probably go to the same school.
yeah. That really hurts. Yeah, yeah, that really hurts. I totally relate to this, man. I totally relate to this. I think, again, similarities and differences, both are abound. For me, unlike you, I think, left, like, had that phase of adulting much later in life. Like, I did my schooling, college, in the city I'm from. And then I left for my MBA, which is where we met, by the way, for the one other
Yeah,
viewer apart from the five people we know who's watching.
yeah.
But yeah,
That's my maid. She
so
supports me.
I support her for handling you every day. But anyway, so coming back to the topic, I think for me, when I went for MBA, I didn't realize I'm an adult that time because everything was taken care of, and I didn't feel like, obviously I felt that space for my parents, but because it was such like a homely environment, there are like 180 people yeah, with you, you don't feel like that. But for me, when I actually felt like an adult was when I moved after MBA, when I moved into my first job in a new city.
Hmm.
And same things. That is when, like, when you're like, that's when I realized the space from my parents. That's when I missed matlab, having a structure at where I was. And then suddenly I was having to do everything. Matlab, having to work also for the first time in my
Yeah.
life, having to maintain a house also for the first time in my life, having to maintain expenses also for the first time properly. All of that was, I think, when it hits you. So I think two commonalities between us is uh, have coming out of the I don't know,
Closet.
banyan tree of
Sorry.
parenthood. Yeah, no, that's not common between us. But we're okay with anyone coming out of the closet. But for
Yeah.
me, I think the similarity is when we came out of the city and came out of matlab, living under the banyan tree of our parents. And also then
Yeah.
the second similarity would be the financial implication of it. When you realize कि भाई मतलब इतने ही पैसे है, इसी में घर चलाना है, इसी में
Hmm.
जाना है, इसी में मजे भी करना है.
Hmm.
All of that, I think, is a great wake-up call for knowing that, okay, मजे के टाइम खत्म. Now you're an adult.
Yeah. No, makes sense totally. Before we move on to the, I mean, next question, like, let's also try and figure what was your perception of an adult when you were, let's say, a kid? Uh, what was an adult for you? What was it picture like? Like when you imagine yourself like in your mid 20s and like you're kind of become somebody who's become an adult. Like, what was that picture like for you?
भाई ऐशो आराम की जिंदगी. मतलब I thought everything in life will be sorted. मतलब I'll be like a jet setter doing some crazy impactful shit. मतलब minting money and just killing it in all aspects. I think that
Hmm.
ad in my head summed it up very well. That पेंट वाला ad था ना, शर्मा जी, अरे नई गाड़ी, नई घर, नई बीवी. That I think for me that was a very so that's what I thought the adult would be. And I thought money to मतलब, who will be like filthy rich, like rolling in money. Like car
Correct.
to was like having a car as an adult is like having a cycle. इतना तो मतलब होना ही
बनता
होगा.
है
And
इतना
then
तो होता ही
हाँ
है
उतना तो बनता ही है. Correct. उतना तो मतलब ये नहीं किया तो क्या किया. And house
हाँ,
also has to be like some K3G का बंगलो type. जैसे flat
yeah,
वैट में
yeah.
कौन रहता है.
Flat, like never imagined
That
flat.
was
Ne.
हाँ, ये सब तो मतलब कभी नहीं. But also, I think importantly, I never really thought about working as an adult. I just thought life is going to be all rainbows and holidays or something. So
Yeah.
that tells you a lot about me. But what about you? What did you think an adult is going to be when you were like a kid?
No, so I mean, multiple things. Like I now, if I look back, like there a few small perceptions I can remember. Like I can also go and figure out like where were they formed from. But for example, like I always thought like I would be somebody would be calling the big shots. Like somebody would be like 2000 crore ke share bech do. Like they would have that kind of a power, or somebody is like, क्या Indian defense को missiles चाहिए मैं करवा देता हूँ. Like I thought I would be that person. Like I don't know why. It's probably because of the kind of content I was consuming from that point at that point of time. Where like you had this K3G where you had rich people like who legit probably do these things, or you had the Viranis like Ekta Kapoor's empire, her universe, where you had the Viranis like where the women like
Uh,
because they were fighting because of infighting they used to do 400 crore ka deals. So like there was just petty cash they were like kind of fighting about. The bigger game, I used to think the bigger game is so big then. Like if this is the petty cash, right? 400 crore.
correct, correct.
So I always thought I'll be doing that. How I would do that, like how would I'm also selling shares and providing missiles, like I do not know. Like again, that the work aspect of it was something that was like वो तो कुछ हो जाएगा, like काम तो होगा, but like that wasn't the main part. The work wasn't the main part. The part was like how important you were, how successful you were, and legit I thought like when you
Correct.
adult, like when you're a kid, you get pocket money from your parents, and when you become an adult, you start giving pocket money to your parents. Like that was one another perception, like this idea I had that like I'll only be an adult once I start giving my parents a
Yeah,
pocket money. Like so, but yeah, that's what
good idea.
what I thought an adult is. Clearly, my perceptions weren't very accurate, were they?
No, I remember you telling me also one more thing that as an adult you always thought that you're an adult when you're married.
Yeah,
कि
yeah.
मतलब अब शादी हो गई अब तो अडल्ट हो गए.
अब
Tell
तुमको
us more
अंकल
about
बुलाएंगे
that.
ना. लाइक अब तुमको लोग बच्चे अंकल बुलाएंगे. लाइक वंस यू गेट मैरिड यू बिकम एन अंकल.
हाँ,
सो तो हो गया ना एडल्टहुड. लाइक वही तो होता है एडल्टहुड होना. ठीक है जब तुम ऐसा अंकल बन जाते हो. लाइक दैट वाज हाउ आई थॉट. लाइक that was the kind of society I grew up in also. I've always lived, I grew up always in these
correct,
kind of oases, like in a way that, like the cement factories, they're always located in a remote area. And but for the employees of
correct.
that factory, you like the builders would
वही
create, let's
टाउन
say,
है. हाँ,
a town, a small, very small town. Like this is like what Jamshedpur is, but
correct.
like 1,000 times smaller, right? So,
I know, I know. हाँ.
so you
ये
have, so
स्टील
you're
प्लांट्स के
living,
लिए भी ऐसा ही होता है आई थिंक.
होता है,
टाउनशिप बोलते
correct.
हैं ना.
Township kind of, correct. So they have a very interesting kind of juxtaposition in the sense that there you're living with very multicultural people because from people across the India have come to find a good job there, and you're living with them. But just outside your township, you're actually in a very remote kind of almost a village
Yeah,
probably. Like at one point it was like the place where I spent the longest time. It was a village for the
correct,
longest time. Then it became little this thing. But yeah, and it's a very strong juxtaposition wherein you don't
correct,
realize that the world outside is very different. You haven't been exposed to the
correct,
world outside this bubble. So yeah, that's
correct.
something
Your
that
worldview
stayed
is
with me.
only मतलब that place you've grown up in, right?
Hmm.
Apart from the growing up in those areas where, मतलब in those communities where we grew up, where do you think these perceptions actually come from? Like, what influences children into thinking what adulthood is going to be, or like what life is going to be ahead?
So yeah, I mean, I would say pop culture defines it like probably to I mean, that is the probably the number one kind of shape like the element that shapes your imagination of adulthood. Uh, the
Bang.
kind of content
Yeah,
that's popular, that masses are consuming, that your parents are also consuming, because a lot of like parents or siblings, like it comes, a lot of it comes from there, like what kind of content they are consuming, like that you start watching, and then you figure out so it kind of shapes you as well.
yeah,
So, like that, which is why, like when we were discussing our perceptions, we both kept going back to that Karan Johar movies, Shah Rukh Khan movies, and then the Ekta Kapoor serials, because that was the pop culture of that time.
yeah.
And they never, like, I
Correct.
don't know, Karan Johar never made a movie about like somebody who's struggling to earn money, right? Like I don't, at least I don't remember like him directing any of his characters struggling to make
Yeah.
money. That wasn't
No
the struggle
chance.
he was interested in. So I assume that's not a struggle, right? Like, the struggle has to be like other things कि वो मैं अपने,
उनके स्ट्रगल भी
you
बहुत
know,
बड़े थे भाई मतलब द स्ट्रगल वाज
yeah,
लंदन में घर अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं कि लाइक
yeah, exactly. तो अभी आई थॉट वही होता है फिर, दैट इज हाउ इट सपोज टू बी, लाइक मेरा भी मेन लाइक वर्किंग वर्किंग एंड फिगरिंग आउट मनी वोंट बी द मेन स्ट्रगल वुड बी कि बड़े भैया और पापा का झगड़ा कैसे सुलझाना है, लाइक राइट, लाइक बड़े भैया चले गए लंदन एंड ऑल. So, like that's what you thought. Like,
करेक्ट
those are the kind of problems you will also end up dealing with. And of course, you had that realization that if they're living in such a big mansion, you'll probably live in a smaller one. But it was still a mansion. Again, wasn't really, it doesn't become a rented flat, you know?
या नो आई थिंक while मतलब listening to you I also realized something quite interesting that like for us growing up as kids, our source of pop culture was only movies, I think, and the limited TV shows. And at that time, early 2000s, I don't think there were too many Indian TV shows. There were मतलब Friends, वो सब भी मतलब you could see on TV. So it was not on-demand viewing. Like it was just like whatever is being shown, you're watching. And like you'll go for parents only with your movie. That's why you go for movies only with your parents. So I think that is very different from today's generation because अब तो मतलब OTT and all of that. So you watch what you want to see, and then मतलब structures are and perceptions are formed basis that. But whereas for us, I think it was just about the one medium we were exposed to were mass movies, and I
Hmm.
think that has played a big part in us thinking what a smooth ride adulthood would be.
Yeah, for sure. And
But yeah, interesting.
heroes, like they showed us heroes. Like they never showed us real people, or like people who a lot of times fail.
Correct.
Like that's what, like for me at least, that's how I see the life, that you fail a lot of times and you win sometimes. uh that's not how they showed the heroes, right? They showed the heroes winning always, and everybody
Yeah,
loving them and money never being a
correct.
problem. And like I used to love
Plus,
Govinda movies, and
uh,
if you watch Govinda movies, like
yeah,
you'll feel like life will happen, man. Like chill, like it's not gonna, like it's not a struggle.
yeah, yeah.
So
Life is
like,
a sideshow.
yeah,
मतलब वो
yeah.
सब
If
तो हो
if he
जाएगा
needed
नाचना
money,
गाना ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट
exactly. Like if Govinda's character ever needed money, वो कुछ तो एक टिकट निकाल के एक बार में 10-15 लाख ले आता था. Like उसको ऐसा चाहिए, ऐसा ऐसा नहीं था कि वो नौकरी करने लग जाता था. कि like अभी ऐसा स्टेबल करके मैं
करेक्ट
फिर SIP करूंगा और वहां से मैं फिर ऐसे पैसे कमाऊंगा. That was never like the what the heroes used to do. So,
करेक्ट मतलब
yeah.
कॉन्सेप्ट ही नहीं था Damn man, I never realized like it's this is a sidebar from the podcast itself, but I never realized how much growing up movies formed a perception of what I thought life would be. And they still do. Like
Hmm.
subliminally. Like and it's good to see that like both of us have sort of it's not just me. Like I think clearly our generation has been thinking a
Yeah.
lot of things like this basis the pop
Yeah.
like the mass movies we've been exposed to.
Exactly, for sure. I mean, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure we are not the only two people in this generation which has not been kind of, who have not grown up like thinking that movie life could have happened, or at least a part of it, like a version of it can happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and but I'm sure, man, like so everyone talks about how their love lives are messed up because of the movies they grew up seeing and their expectations from love are so messed up. But
Yeah,
that's a separate episode. We will come to it.
yeah,
Hopefully by that time we'll have 10 more viewers. But yeah,
Yeah,
but
my
no,
extended family.
I think yeah, I think your extended family will stop speaking to you then. But good to know they're still interested in your love life. But I think mine gave up when I was 18 years old. They just stopped being interested in my love life at that age.
So
But I think
yeah,
that's
I
a good
mean,
segue to the next question, which is what like I think over time, like we also realize the content we've seen has shaped our views, and as adults, we also get exposed outside our comfort zone. So our perceptions of things change a lot. Like what I used to think about religion maybe some years ago versus now is also different. It's evolving basis the information we get.
hmm.
So, uh, what do you think is matlab, changed? How has your concept of adulting changed from what the 18-year-old you used to think?
Uh, so the very first thing is probably and that kind of you realize as soon as you adult is that the world doesn't revolve around you. It's there are like millions and billions like you, and you. I mean, there's nothing special about you, or I mean, in the sense that there's nothing special in who
Yeah,
you I mean, there's no special position that you hold in this world that's gonna kind of make it easy for you to kind of do those things that you want to do. You're one of the many who are kind of in a way struggling, in a way trying to survive, in a way uh, trying to make best out of
correct,
whatever they have. So that realization that you're part of the crowd, is something that is that I think I never thought like would be something that I would real feel when I actually adult. But now that I have that, I feel it's a huge part of adulting. Then the other part is the importance of money. As we were discussing, we
yeah,
never really thought about work, about what would be the kind of work we would be doing. And essentially, even now, I do feel that of course there is a certain level of job satisfaction or a certain level of meaning that you make out of your life because of your work, but a lot of us still do majority of our work because of money. And I never thought like money is gonna be something that's gonna be
yeah,
so important, like so core, or rather, like how I was saying, the world doesn't revolve around me. The world actually revolves around money. That's how I feel. Like that's where we're
yeah,
heading at least.
absolutely.
You're judged
Yeah, that's the reality of life.
basis you're judged basis how much you earn, not basis what you do. Lesser, rather, I would say lesser basis what you do than how much you earn. So
Yeah,
which is a reality. I mean, I don't like it, but that's the world we live in. So yeah, those two things are
correct.
probably the biggest changes, or rather the biggest change in my perception about adulthood.
Yeah. No, I think that's a bang on, dude. Like it, it's, you've hit like ekdam. Couldn't agree more. For me, I think it was. I've always been obsessed with sort of what is the purpose of life and all of this,
Hmm.
like, what do we do, existential shit. So
Hmm.
I've been thinking about all of this for a very long time. But I think the one change for me from when I was 18 years old is accepting that a lot of people choose mediocrity, and that's a beautiful choice. There's nothing wrong with it. Like if you
Hmm.
told the 18-year-old me this, that a lot of great people choose mediocrity, I would have been like, what losers, dude. Like they
Yeah.
aren't ambitious or एक ही life है जितना काम कर सकता है करो. Like I
Hmm.
was literally one of those like hustle kids.
Hmm.
So I think that's been a very big change for me that like now I realize life is much more important than just work.
Yeah.
And life revolves around a lot of other things. Like it's important in all aspects, family, friends, your partner, your work, the experiences you have, your health, both your
Hmm.
physical and mental health. I
Yeah.
think it's for me now, it's adulting is more about optimizing all these factors together to live a meaningful life. It's not only
Hmm.
about doing one thing, whatever that
Hmm.
one thing be. But obviously, I still have those days where I question this, like, should I be doing a holistic life? Should I be only focusing on work? But I think more and more I'm realizing now you have to have all of these things together to have a to just feel good. Matlab, like life is good and like life is worth more than your money, more than what you do. Like you said,
Yeah.
like, I think
Yeah.
it's important to do these things.
Tell me what has surprised you the most with respect to adulting? Like what was that one thing
I
or
think,
those things that really took you like that shocked you that like अच्छा ये होता है यार adulting का मतलब या वो ये भी करना पड़ता है something like
yeah, my answer is going to be a little depressing.
that.
Uh,
It's okay. What has surprised you the most about adulting? What are those things that kind of shocked you, took you by surprise while you kind of were on this journey?
yeah. No, I think for me, matlab, what has been shocking or surprising has been that uh, no one really knows what they're doing, man. Like,
Hmm.
no one knows. Everyone is just figuring it out as they go along.
Hmm.
Uh, I think it's just like from the people, from the most senior people you see at work to the मतलब, fanciest people you see on your Instagram, सबकी फटी
Hmm.
हुई है यार, सबकी फटी हुई
Hmm.
है, सब दिखावा कर रहे हैं, सब कोशिश कर रहे हैं कुछ करने का. Like I'll give
Hmm.
you an example. Like the last job I was at, my skip level boss, he's some मतलब an inspirational guy. Oxford, Cambridge दोनों से पढ़ा हुआ है. He was in the founding team of Aadhaar. He's worked in the government, environmental ministry.
Wow.
Corporate में आके भी he scaled every height.
Hmm.
Obviously, like, and someone who's like very eloquent, very like inspirational in all senses. So I really looked up to him. And when I was leaving, he kept telling me, stay, stay, stay. But I was like, no, I'm done. And then
Hmm.
1 month later, he called me and told me that he's leaving. And he's
Hmm.
moving to Singapore in a consulting firm and I think heading the firm or something like that. So then he called me 1 month later and said he's leaving. And he's sort of going to Singapore and heading or something like that, a consulting firm in the in the environment sector and all of that. So I was like, damn, dude, this is great.
Hmm.
And I remember before leaving, I used to keep asking him for advice because मेरी फटी हुई थी. Like I took a very unconventional sort of choice after working for 5 years in the corporate sector of leaving my job, going back to my hometown and joining my family business, which is very different from what I was doing. So I used to keep
Hmm.
asking him for advice. And I realized in this call, which he, मतलब, 1 month later when he called me to tell me he's leaving, he was
Hmm.
asking me for the same advice. Like, मतलब उसकी उतनी फटी हुई थी जितनी मेरी थी. Which for me was like just shocking, dude. Like, this is a guy who got a dream job and done everything in life, so he should just be like excited for the next challenge. But he was as scared as I was because he was making an as big a change as I was.
Hmm.
And like for me, that is sort of coming back to the original point that that's the most surprising thing about adulting. Everyone you think has it sorted is going through a lot of struggle and figuring it out themselves as much as you are.
Hmm.
So yeah, for me, that's what surprised me about adulting. And I think also the one thing, one more point, which is that for me, I've realized that independence and loneliness are sort of almost two sides of the same coin and very thin line between them. But tu bata, what do you think has surprised you most about adulting?
That it's a continuous process. Like you have to keep doing it all over again. I just thought like
Yeah,
you do it once and like you're kind of sorted for at least a lot of your life. Like how you do school for X number of years, then you do college for X number of years, and then you basically do job or whatever. Like you become an adult, like and then that stays. Once you're an adult, that stays. But the fact that
yeah,
every year as you kind of grow, you kind of you have to get used to being that old, and like you have to make kind of like make peace with the kind of expectations and the kind of demands that particular age is going to bring to you. So you make kind of peace with that, and that process is adulting essentially. That was something surprising for me. I legit thought that once you do it, like it's going to stay for 10, 15 years, you're sorted,
Correct.
and then probably another phase. But yeah, it's an year in, year out kind of
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, no, and just to add to that, I think matlab, I read this somewhere, which is exactly what you're saying. Like, there's no, apart from the fact that it's a continuous process, there is no guide or handbook or structure defined on how you should do it. Like,
Hmm.
when we were growing up, as we've had structure all our lives till we started adulting. You're just sort of thrown into the world and supposed to figure it out yourself. And this is after
Hmm.
years of being put into structure, especially as Indians. हम लोग को 18 साल स्कूल में you know your whole मतलब you're trained in a particular way. You're taught certain
Hmm.
things. You're told how to go about your day. Then in college also there's a lot of structure. Like staying outside also in a hostel, there's still structure. You're taught about like courses you have to do and stuff like that. And yeah, मतलब you are you grow up in a set of structures, and then suddenly you're sort of thrown into the world after college. That now you can do whatever you want. You can do it however you want, but you have to also figure it out in whichever way you can.
Hmm.
So I think that makes it even tougher. matlab, It's even more surprising for such a drastic change to the way we grow up is to the way we adult.
Yeah. No, totally makes sense. Uh, so I mean, moving forward, like now that we have had our share of adulting and being an adult, rather like adulthood, let's say, uh, what is it that you like
Yeah,
about it? What are the things that you like about being an adult? Like, I mean, there clearly are things that when you were a kid, you were like, एक बार बड़ा हो जाऊंगा ना, तो ये तो मतलब ये तो करके रहूंगा, या फिर ये
uh,
सब जो जबरदस्ती की लिमिटेशन है मेरे ऊपर, ये तो खत्म है ब्रो. Like nobody is telling me no for what I want to do.
100%.
So there are things that we like about it, being an adult as well. So what have been those? What are those things for you?
Yeah. Even the cribber in me has to agree, man. There are some beautiful advantages to adulting. Like, matlab, I remember when I was a kid, we used to go to the movies, we used to always have to share popcorn. And I used to think, एक बार बड़ा हो जाओ, खुद के पैसे, I'll never share popcorn with anyone.
Yeah.
I never do, dude. I go, I'm like, I'll take one big tub of popcorn, जिसको खाना है मेरे से खाओ, but मेरे से मत लेके जाओ. And I can never finish the tub. Ultimately, we end up all eating through it. But I'm like, matlab, now I'm an adult, I can buy my own popcorn. But I think it's, matlab, it's a funny way of saying a larger point, which is that you have a, well, I like the freedom of being able to choose what I can do, what I want to be, and how I want
Hmm.
to do it. I
Hmm.
think that's a big ass thing. Like, it's, well, all your life you're told what to do. Obviously, we're still told by society what to do. But matlab, once you go out of home, once you sort of go out of the shell you're in, you get a lot of freedom also. Obviously, you have to sort of temper that with how you deal with it because there's good and bad to it both. But that freedom is also about what you want to do and like matlab, the life you want to make. And I also think that like the matlab, what I like about adulting is, and especially once you come to your late 20s, you don't have to do things because of peer pressure. You are sort of matlab, you've made peace with who you are as a person and you've learned that and you understood what you like doing and what you don't like doing. Or whatever,
Hmm.
you're in the process of that and you don't do things because others are doing it.
Hmm.
Or you at least you do it much lesser. And, or at least I do it much lesser. I still get a lot of FOMO. But
Hmm.
I know now what I like doing and I do those things. And I don't feel bad about not like doing things which I don't like, which might be popular with others. And I
Hmm.
think also, I think, well, what I love most about adulting is like when you grow up, no, like school may, the friends you make are not the friends you choose. Like they might be very dear friends to you now also. Like for me, my school friends are very close. But they
Hmm.
are friends I've made because मेरे आगे बैठा हुआ था, मेरे साइड में था, मेरे साथ बस में घर जाता था, हम लोग एक दूसरे को थप्पड़ मारते थे. Some shit like that. Like
Hmm.
there's no, मतलब I like your personality or something like that. That's why I'm friends
Yeah.
with you.
Uh,
But as you grow, you understand more about मतलब yourself and you get to choose your own tribe. Like you get to become friends with the people who are your sort of weird. Uh,
hmm.
and I think that matlab, choosing those friends and choosing that partner is beautiful. I, I, I really enjoy that. And obviously, the financial independence is good about adulting, but it comes with the responsibility of earning also, which is not so good.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, those are the things I like about adulting. What about you? What do you like?
I like that adulting has made me more empathetic. Like I've definitely gained a lot of empathy because of the experiences I have gone through in my adulting. And like now when I meet people, I'm not in a hurry to kind of judge them. I'm not in a hurry to like them or dislike them. I'm not in a hurry to put a label on them. I want to know them. I want to know that there's the set of experiences behind everybody that kind of define who they are. And you need to understand those experiences to understand those people. So that empathy and those experiences would be different for everybody. So they will be different. So this realization that people will be different, like not everybody can be how you want them to be, or what I mean, how your ideal scenario looks like. That has that's something I like about myself, because it also allows me to. It's become much easier for me to socialize. I can it's very easy for me to
Yeah,
make friends, to start conversations because of this empathy that has come as I've adulted. So that's one big thing. And the second thing would be the fact that now I feel there are places where I'm being useful to, my friends or my family. There are things I can do. Not like, of course, money is one thing, but I'm saying not necessarily financially also. There are
yeah,
responsibilities or there are tasks I can do for my friends and my family, which is of some value to them. So that is another good thing that gives me a lot of uh, peace. That gives me a lot of happiness. That I was of use like to somebody I like I care about. And then I could only do that because uh, I've matured that much to be able to do those tasks. Like and that means like a lot of adulting in the process. So yeah, those two things I really like about being an adult.
yeah. No, that's a beautiful feeling, dude. To be able to help people.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. No, I think that's really beautiful. To be able to help people around you who you care about is a joy, man. It's one of those joys, small joys of adulthood.
Yeah.
How do you compare your or our lives to our parents' life at this age? Do you think like them as adults versus us as adults? Is it better? Is it worse? What has gotten better? What has gotten worse? Or is it the same? What do you feel?
No, that's a very interesting question. Because I think like my parents when they were my age, they had three kids to already take care of. So it would have been a very different scenario, like and a very different experience, very different priorities as well. Uh, uh, I think uh, it goes
Yeah,
in general with this, like our parents' generation versus us, that while like we have this Maslow's hierarchical needs, right? Wherein at the bottom rung you have the physiological needs and the safety needs, like safety in the sense of like safety for financial safety, personal safety, like those kind of things. I think our parents' generation was still working on those things. Like their struggles were different than us. They were struggling in those layers of Maslow's hierarchy. While because of the hard work
correct.
that generation did, like we already had a certain level of platform from where we started our adulthood journey, and hence our struggles. And so, which is why a lot of, at least like if I would say my peer group, or the kind of people I've gone to college with, or the kind of people I work with, we are all people who like are kind of, our journey is more in the upper strata of that hierarchical needs, wherein you are figuring about your love and belongingness, or you're figuring about your self-worth, self-esteem, or the
Yeah,
very top, what is the purpose of the life, the self-actualization phase. So I think so, which is why I think those two journeys were very different. Like my parents at my age, like the least of their worry would have been, is my job giving me satisfaction, or do I feel like I'm meaningful to the
Yeah,
world? Like they would have been like कि अगले महीने पैसा कितना लाना है, कितना आएगा, उसका क्या करना है, एंड जो तीन बच्चों इनका इनका काइंड ऑफ इनके स्कूल में क्या चल रहा है एंड ऑल दैट, लाइक so it would have been a very different struggle. Now has it gotten better? Of course, as I said, because of their hard work, they've already made it better for us. So like we are privileged, and like let's accept that we are privileged compared to our parents.
absolutely. Ours is a
Most of
life
them,
of
like
privilege.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So most of us, I'm saying. So let's first accept that, and that it has definitely gotten better. What has gotten worse probably is the fact that they never had to compare their lives with somebody else every day. Because not everybody was so connected back then. There was no social media which was kind of showing you that this is what success looks like. Now, are you this person? They were figuring out their ways,
correct.
and of course, there is lack of information also means like the greater the struggle, but it also means you weren't competing all the time. You didn't need validation all the time. You were doing your thing, and only you knew, and a few of your close friends and family knew what you were up to, and which is why you didn't feel too as judged as sometimes our generation does, or we do, or we don't. They weren't as pressured by social media trends, or or what people are like. Suddenly, everybody has to go to a foreign trip
Yeah,
because that's what is expected of you, or your position in a society. Everybody around you is going for a foreign trip, so why are you not going? Those kind of pressures probably did not exist for them. So that's probably one thing which has gotten worse in our generation compared to theirs. And one third thing that I would say is like I feel the in terms of relationships, like the kind of relationships that used to form earlier were very a very simple example would be this, that right now, like if I have to visit you, or any of my friend, like I'll text them, are you there? What time would it be fine for you for me to come? And according to that, I
uh,
will reach. By that time, that person would have mentally prepared themselves in their house to show you the best picture of, when you come
correct.
meet them. Or at least like, that is how it works now. Earlier, it didn't work like that. Earlier, you just knocked and you said, "Hey, what's up?" And
Yeah,
they'll be like, "Hey, come in now. Like you're here, of course, from somewhere you live far away. You've come here now. Come in, like spend some time." So like that
chai
that
pite. Hai.
exactly chai pite hain. So that um, I feel relationships aren't those that organic anymore. Like they're more manufactured compared to what they used to be earlier. And earlier you had to depend on people. You didn't have an app that orders you food, another app that pays your bills, and the third app that does something else for you. So you had to depend on people, and if you have to depend on people, you'll have to build relationships. So because there was so much function involved in relationships, people nurtured the relationships. They put more effort into it, uh, and at the same time, uh, they weren't working all the time, right? Like once they were out of the office, they were out of the office. You can't text them that अरे वो वाला
Yeah,
presentation
correct.
बना के भेज दो या फिर वो वाला एक काम खत्म कर दो. Once they're out, they're out. Like उनको तुम अब physically ढूंढ सकते हो तो अलग बात है. So
Correct.
I think that gave a lot of time to nurture relationships, which again we don't have. So yeah, those would be the points.
No, man, I think you summarized it beautifully. I think I don't have much to add. I think we live a life of privilege. At least I can talk about our circles and maybe you also.
Hmm.
Like because of the effort that our parents have put in and the struggles they had, I don't think I can ever understand or even go through. Like they really sort of made life easy for us to the extent that we can start a podcast where we crib about adulting.
Hmm.
But uh, yeah, I think. I think the only way it was maybe better was I think this concept of infinite choices was not there, which is basically
Yeah,
what social media does,
yeah.
which is basically what more connections in every form of life does. Like when I'm on social media, I'm always looking over my shoulder about, oh, this person is doing that, I can do that. This person at work is doing this, I can do this. Why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing that? That constant comparison, I read this beautiful quote somewhere that comparison is a thief of joy. I think
Hmm,
having infinite choices gives you infinite comparisons, and that makes it more difficult for us as a generation. Um, even, matlab, be it just social media, be it even these relationships which you were talking about. Like we have so many dating apps, friendship apps, I don't know what not. So there is a choice in everything. So you don't put in that effort of nurturing and you're always looking over the shoulder. I think that is the only matlab,
hmm,
struggle for me, I think, which has made it slightly, matlab, which made their life slightly better.
hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm.
So, I mean, let's play a game now. Uh, we both get 60 seconds, like strictly 60 seconds, not more than that. Because by now our 6 viewers have also realized
Done.
that इन लोगों ने ये पॉडकास्ट रैंट करने के लिए शुरू किया है इनको था कि आपस में भी आर आर करके हो नहीं रहा है इनका तो दुनिया के सामने आर आर करते हैं करेक्ट सो सो हमारा जो ये section है
एकदम.
of this podcast. We'll call it the RR section, the rant roulette section. Before we get cancelled, uh, and we both get 60 seconds. And on the topic of the
Yeah.
episode, so for example, today's topic is again adulting matters. And it's an intro, but like we'll still we'll do this. So you get 60 seconds. You have to rant about everything that you hate about adulting or everything that things you find tough about adulting. And you have 60 seconds. You can rant your heart out.
Done, done. Okay, I'm starting now. It was good to know that your introduction about the rant roulette was longer than the time I get for the rant roulette. But what are the things I hate about adulting, or which makes it toughest? I think being sick in a city, dude, alone and without anyone. I hate it. I want my mother. I just want my family to be there. I hate it when I'm sick and alone. भाई जब and when second thing when money gets over जब पैसे खत्म हो जाते हैं I can't ask my parents for pocket money. थप्पड़ मार के बोलेंगे क्या है भाई कमाओ खुद का पैसा.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's a big pain. I wish I had an unlimited surplus of money. The third thing is there are no summer holidays, man. You have to go and work all the time. Your holidays
Yeah,
are
man,
maximum 6, 7
totally.
days,
I don't know
mostly just
why.
weekends.
Like,
It's
it's
the
very
worst.
clear that
It's the
we as
worst.
humans function better when there are summer
My summer
vacations. Some,
holidays are now
yeah,
sabbaticals.
yeah. Continue. Your time. You are on time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think our summer vacations are now sabbaticals. And also, I think I hate, I, yeah, yeah, no, I hate that I have to work all the time, man. And that the world judges me by my work. Like, malab, I understand, I want to work, but I don't want to be judged by my work. Like, even now in my introduction, I have to tell you what I'm doing. Malab, I can't just be like, oh, I like playing sports. So
Hmm.
that really sucks.
These
And
are
also,
my
I just
hobbies.
hate social media, dude.
Yeah.
It's an irony because we'll be putting this on social media, but I hate social media. मतलब लिंक्डइन पे जाओ तो लग रहा है यू आर नॉट डूइंग एनीथिंग एट वर्क. इंस्टाग्राम पे जाओ तो लग रहा है जिंदगी में कुछ नहीं कर रहे हो. ट्विटर पे जाओ तो लग रहा है दुनिया ही आंख पे है. बट या आई जस्ट हेट these things. Also the daily struggles of adulting, but I think my 60 seconds are now over.
Yeah. Cool.
So it's time for you, my friend.
Yeah, so
3, 2, 1,
I'll
go. I will
start
not
with
interrupt you.
my
Go for it.
RR. Okay. Second thing is validation. The fact that everything we do, we inherently seek validation. The fact that we've been talking about पांच viewer होंगे और छह viewer होंगे. Like why? Like why do these numbers matter to us? I hate that it does matter to all of us.
Yeah.
I mean. I mean, frankly speaking, we live
Correct.
right now in an age जहाँ पे like you know the Alexander the Great, the conqueror, like even if he would have won all those countries, but would have not made
Yeah.
a vlog out of it that you know, hey friends, आज हमने हराया King Porus को, like उसको like seriously नहीं लेते लोग, like चैंपियन ठीक है तो जीत गया लेकिन लाइक फॉलोअर्स कितने हैं तेरे यू नो लाइक यू नो एंड उसके बाद भी मतलब उसको ब्लू टिक भी उसको मतलब द ग्रेट नहीं बोलते उसको फिर अलेक्जेंडर तो ऑर्डिनरी हो जाता लाइक बिकॉज ही डिडंट हैव wouldn't have had followers so that this drive for validation in everything we do and it's been like of course the way the algorithms work the way the social media as a product works it does kind of feed into our need for validation. So the second thing, the third thing would be, as I said, the genuine relationships. Like people just keep texting that, hey, bro, let's plan something. Hey, let's plan something, knowing perfectly well that we are not planning anything. That I just don't know why. No, like all of us are lonely in some, like at least we feel lonely at some parts
Correct.
of our life, but none of us are ready to take that first step. That let's go meet, let's actually plan and not just talk about planning. So that would be my RR.
Yeah. Now I think for the last part of the podcast, and I know we said we're not going to give any gyan, but we're both marketers, and marketers are always told that what is the call to action? What will people watch and take home? What do you want them to do? So, despite our best attempts to not do this as occupational hazards, we have to give you a call to action. And I think for us, then the question becomes, have you found any hacks which have made adulting easier? Uh,
Yes, like
yeah.
that is a
So,
very important question. And this is not gyan. This is not us giving gyan. This is us sourcing gyan. We are like कि हम
correct.
हमारे hacks बता रहे हैं तुम तुम्हारे hacks बताओ यार और like you know like सब मिलके let's tackle this adulting thingy together. I mean let's start with you Aman. Like what are some of the hacks that you have found? And I'm sure like our five viewers will write their hacks in the comment section.
Yes, I love you, my 5 viewers. But I think some of the hacks I found, I think for me, all jokes apart, I think therapy, man. Um,
Hmm.
every person should take therapy if they're lucky enough to be able to afford it. It really is life changing. At least for me, it has helped me recognize, understand so much more about life and sort of improve myself. I don't look at it as a tool for only mental health issues. I look at it as something which is sort of helps me improve as a person. I think that being one. Second, for me, is some form of movement or exercise daily.
Hmm.
If I don't move my body regularly, my brain will explode. I feel like that's just how I'm wired. Clearly, I'm
Yeah.
not doing it enough,
Hmm.
but just being able to do something daily is important for me.
Hmm.
I think also just the third thing is accepting that some days, maybe some months, or even some years will feel like a funk, will feel like you're wasted them, and that's okay. Um, Unlike what they say in Anand, Zindagi lambi hai, and there are up and downs. You have to just sort of understand that sometimes you're in down and it will come back up again. I think one thing which has been recently very helpful for me is, and I can't believe I'm saying this, is art. Um, and it's not art in the fancy form of, oh, let's go look at this painting or some that painting. I've never understood it. I don't
Hmm.
think I'll understand that modern art or those forms of art. But for me, it's just like, art gives you representation,
Hmm.
and in whatever form you like it. Like I said, I don't understand paintings or artworks, but I love reading quotes, poetry, and just reading about life. I think it makes me feel less alone. It gives me more hope, and it helps me realize that, oh, other people have gone through this, and they felt like shit, they felt great, and you're not alone. I think that has been very, very powerful for me. And yeah, I think just finding a group of weirdos, man, they make life more tolerable.
Yeah, for sure.
And they just make it better. And lastly, again, sounds cliche as fuck, but I think having a positive attitude. I suck at this, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do this, but I think it's just easier to accept. Life is easier to accept if you're more Ted Lasso than, I don't know, Chef Carmi from The Bear.
Hmm.
I think it
Hmm.
just makes it easier. So yeah, those are my hacks. Some of which I'm not able to implement, but
No,
yeah.
like
What about you, man?
you know
Give
these
us
hacks.
your
Like the idea is
non-gyan
like
gyan.
yeah, like I'm saying the idea is to source hacks. Like at least first have a base of hacks that you can choose from. Like even if you know something but you can't like do it yourself, like that's okay. Probably I can do it. So let's keep our hacks open. So for me, like therapy for sure. Like it's something that that works. And anybody who's at all overwhelmed by life, by adulting in general, like therapy would work for sure. Like try it out. Second thing would be, and it might sound very privileged, and it is. I understand that, but hear me out, okay? So I call this hack. Uh, if you can't live with mommy, hire a mommy. And what I mean by this is
This is
the
going to get you cancelled for sure.
well, it's like I wanna do little controversy in between so that one of the things probably can go viral and like reach 50 viewers instead of like 10. So so no, but like hear me out. Like what I mean by that is that like when you're at home living with your parents, like there is a support system around you. Like a huge part of that is your mom, like, but I'm saying in general, both the parents and even your siblings, like whoever, like they form a support structure around you. Now, when you move out
Yeah,
of it, you suddenly don't have that support structure. And I don't think I I don't think expecting yourself to be able to fulfill all the roles and be able to like a self-sustaining individual without needing any outside help is I feel is too much to ask for, like even from yourself. So I
yeah,
would say like if for example cooking is something that I struggle with, like I know for a fact that like I wouldn't be able to do it every day. So I'll hire a cook. Like so the one part of my support structure that's sorted, then I would hire a maid who will ensure that my house is livable enough. Because if it's on left on me, like I'm not sure how good I'll cope with it. So,
correct.
so,
Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying. Like wherever you can hire help, and it could be through apps, it could be through people, it could be through services. Do that. Like invest that money on figuring out making your life easier than it has to be. So that would be that's what I want mean to like that's what I meant with that hack. If you can't live with your mommy, just hire a mommy.
yeah.
The
He doesn't
the
have any mommy issues, guys.
no, not at all. And the third thing would be I would say building a social network outside social media.
And yeah, I think, guys, these are the hacks we've figured out to sort of tackle adulting and the problems of adulting. But please feel free to tell us what you feel have helped you, and any other thoughts, feedback, uh, any other rants you want to do. So happy to hear that, and thankfully for you all, that brings us to the close of this episode. But we hope to be back with a few more episodes on adulting and how the two of us are struggling and figuring it out at the same time. So yeah, thank you. Bye, guys.